Do you want to know how to deal with unwanted emotions? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication all over the world. And in this video, we're going to be talking about how to deal with unwanted emotions through the lens of the principle self-government. We all know what happens when we lose control of ourselves. It doesn't feel good, right? In this video, we're going to be talking about losing control. Is it authentic or non-authentic? How to know that, and then what we can do when we feel ourselves going out of control. When you go out of control, that is an emotional condition that you are in. And I know many people don't want to experience that. For some people, going out of control feels like anxiety, it feels like stress, it feels like too much information, overthinking. That's very, very common. Whether you shut down or whether you ramp up and start fighting and getting angry, it's usually because you're hyper-focusing on either too many details or one that you cannot get out of your mind, and it's starting to take over everything. It's weaving into everything or making it so you can't see life in its full focus. That is a real big indicator that emotionally you're starting to bottom out. So how do you stop yourself from getting to that place? Well, first you need to be able to identify what your emotions are versus what your feelings are. So a feeling is something you don't necessarily have control over. So I might feel cold, that's just a feeling. And then after I feel cold, I'm going to experience a thought. There's a split second where I get to think something about that feeling, about being cold. I either think, well, there's nothing I can do about it, so drop the subject, don't think about it. Or I think to myself, well, I wonder if there is something that I can find, like a jacket or a blanket or something, okay? So that's going to lead to that type of action. Or I might start thinking something emotional, like, well, I can't believe that, this particular business would have it be so cold like this and make it so uncomfortable for people. I'm going to tell them about it when I see them. I'm not going to come here anymore if it's going to always be this cold. Suddenly now I'm taking offense by the cold. I'm going to start a battle over the cold. These could all be emotional responses to the cold. And they start how? With that little thought. It's whatever thought I choose to have or choose to entertain, because some of your thoughts are actually thought habits. And so one of the ways that you stop having an unwanted emotional response or action, because your emotional response is basically just your action that you take on whatever thought that you had associated with a certain feeling or a certain incident. So it's your action step. It's what's leading to your next action. That's the emotion. Okay? So when you are ready to take action, you've already hit an emotional point, and it could be an unwanted emotional point. So what you have to do is say, what do I normally think? What should I think? In this situation, what would be a productive or wanted way to think about this so that it would lead me toward a productive emotional response? That's what you want to do. Now, there are some key things that you can use to help you analyze what's going on a little bit better. So in my Teaching Self-Government program, and this is not the whole program, this is just 5 books out of like the 11 books and the training and stuff, but these books right here teach you 4 basic skills. Now these children's books each teach the 4 basic skills to children. This teaches the parents how to teach these skills to their children and how to correct the problems when things go wrong. But these skills and these 4 basic skills are not just for children. In fact, adults need them too. Everyone needs these 4 basic self-government skills. They are life skills, and they lead to happiness, peace, and success. And they do that by giving you something to analyze that can actually help you solve your problems so that you don't get to that unwanted emotional state. So let's talk a little bit about just maybe one of those skills. Let's talk about the skill accepting a no answer. There are 4 steps to accepting a no answer. And what's a no answer? That's when something doesn't go right in our life, right? Somebody doesn't give us something that we want. Someone tells us no. Maybe we lose something. Maybe we miss our plane or miss our train, or something, we're getting to work late. These are all things that would be the no answers of life. Maybe we've gained 5 pounds, no answer, okay? There's no answers to life. Now, in order to fix the 5 pounds, you have to accept the no answer and then give yourself instructions and other no answers, probably on a daily basis, to lose the 5 pounds, right? For a little bit. But those are just things that can happen to anybody. So let's talk about the 4 steps to accepting a no answer. You look at the person or the situation, you keep a calm face, voice, and body. You say, okay, or you ask to disagree appropriately, and then you drop the subject. So how does that help you with unwanted emotions? Well, maybe you have a situation that presents itself as a no answer. Somebody says something unkind to you. That feels like a no. That feels hurtful. You didn't want that person to be rude to you or mean to you. So what do you do with it? You first examine, oh, I feel hurt right now. That's a feeling that I'm having because of what that person said. So now I have a chance to make a thought. Now I can analyze something. I can say, that was a no answer. I didn't want them to say that, but I can't control them. They get to choose for themselves, so I need to accept a no answer. What are the steps that I could go through? Well, I can look at this person or this situation, keep a calm face, voice, and body about it. Oh, am I calm? I could ask myself that question. If the answer is yes, then great. Then I'm going to just probably say okay and drop the subject, or I'm going to say okay and disagree appropriately with them and then drop the subject. So you're going to move on through that skill, but you can tell yourself what to do next if you actually have these skills, these life skills broken down into their individual pieces. That's the help that comes from learning how to accept a no answer. So just knowing a simple skill like accepting a no answer can make a huge difference in your own thought processes. I always tell people, why are you struggling so much with this emotion and you don't know what to do? It's because you don't know what you don't know. So I can help you. There are a lot of things on this channel. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, you may definitely want to, because there's so many things that you can learn here to help you understand more about skills and how to help yourself with emotions. But let's go on and talk more about what we can do when we have gotten to a place of an unwanted emotion, okay? So let's say we passed the thought process. We didn't recognize we had a thought, and now we've got ourselves to emotion and we're like, oh no, I'm boiling over. What am I gonna do? Well, hopefully you have another backup plan in place. Because really the key to self-governing is planning ahead so that you know what to do when something happens. I know somebody's probably going to think, well, but how can I always know what to do? Well, we can categorize most situations actually into some basic categories and prepare for those things. And that's why those 4 basic skills take care of 99% of behavioral problems, because those are the main 4 categories that a person ends up experiencing a problem with. Either they're not instructing themselves properly or following instructions from others properly. They're not accepting the disappointments and no answers of life. They're not accepting the consequences of life and taking responsibility for that, or they're not communicating effectively, such as the disagree appropriately skill, with other people. Those are the main ways that people start to lose control, especially emotional control. So what do? You had a feeling, you had a thought that was non-productive, you got yourself into an unwanted emotion. Now, what is it that you do? If you are starting to experience an emotional situation and you know you do not want this to happen, you want to bring it back into control, if you have taken a little bit of time ahead of time to make what I call your calm plan, that can make all the difference. And I'm going to help you with that calm plan at the end of this video. So be sure to stay all the way to the end, because I've got a special gift for you that will help you with that calm plan. But if a person decides ahead of time, when I feel like this, like maybe I'm feeling my fists tighten, my neck gets tense, whatever it is that happens, your forehead starts to squish up. What is it that happens to you when you start to get stressed or starts to lose control? If you can identify that ahead of time so that you recognize it when it comes, and then you tell yourself, okay, I'm not being calm, and you can go through a calm plan that you have planned out ahead of time, then your chances are way higher of being able to get out of that unwanted emotional response and going in the direction of calmness. Calmness is possible, but it has to be chosen. And remember, as you go toward that unwanted emotion, you're actually choosing it. So you have to decide, I can't choose that. I have to choose to hold on to something else. Now, deep breathing is one of those really great things to add into a calm plan. Just thinking to yourself, I'm going to take 4 deep breaths or 3 deep breaths engages your prefrontal cortex. That's what you want to do to have some really great teaching. So you think to yourself, breath 1 in, through the nose, out, through the mouth. This changes your focus to be on the breathing, which you have to do anyway because you're alive and you're a human, and that's just how it is. So why not focus on it, count it, get yourself disconnected from that emotional drama for just a moment, enough to say, okay, wait, what is happening here? See if you can describe it to yourself and then instruct yourself to follow that calm plan. So now we're bringing back in another one of those 4 basic skills, which is following an instruction from yourself. When you are a self-governed person, you give yourself instructions and no answers and corrections, okay? All of those things that you would do to help a child. So this brings me to helping another person who has unwanted emotions. What do you do if there is somebody else that's experiencing unwanted emotions? Maybe they don't even want the emotions. You know for sure you don't, but maybe even they don't want those emotions. How do you help them? Well, again, it goes back to the pre-planning. If you've decided ahead of time, this is the process that we're going to use if you ever get in this situation where you're going out of control, then what you do is you follow through with the plan in the moment. You just say, okay, it seems to me like you might be out of instructional control. We're going to go through with our plan. So there is something that I do. It's a intensive teaching parenting skill that I use to help a person learn to be calm in those moments when they're starting to feel themselves go out of control. But I do teach it to them ahead of time. And I want you to learn about what that is. It's called the Rule of 3. I teach it in my TSG parenting course on my website, but there is another course that I'm going to give you for free that will help you get ready to use some of those other intensive skills. This particular course is all about calmness. It's called the Calm Parenting Toolkit. So in the description below this video, there is a link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit. It says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. If you click on the link to that toolkit right now, you can have that 10-lesson toolkit for free, and you can get started on your road to self-government. So click on the link to that video now.